All right, since it is Creature Feature Week over in Killer Flicks, the group I'm in on Facebook, if you don't know already, come on and join us over there. And as I always say, answer the questions that we have on there. Otherwise, you're going to get denied. And try to just think of the answers or Google them or something. Don't put something stupid. Jesus, we see so many dumb answers every day. It's mind-boggling. But anyway, so because it's Creature Feature Week, I wanted to explore the filmography of director Frank Henenlotter. Now, we will be covering Basket Case 1, 2, 3, and a film that has Dwayne holding his basket from Basket Case, one of the coolest crossover freaking cameos ever in a horror movie, in Brain Damage, which is a fantastic film. We also have Frankenhooker and Bad Biology, which I don't own and I've never seen. So that'll be fun, because actually one I haven't seen. So I'm looking forward to that, even though I know it's panned and a lot of people don't like it, but I'm looking forward to checking it out for the first time. I've always meant to watch it, but for some reason it's just always slipped through. So, all right, so let's talk about the first Basket Case. Now, I like the title just because, I mean, yes, a little on the nose, but, you know, when someone's crazy, they're referred to as a basket case, and he literally has a basket that he carries around with him with his brother inside of it. And he is quite the case. So, yeah, I mean, it's very, very fitting, and it's a nice play on words. So, we've got, this movie is, it's obviously, it's very poorly acted, and it's low budget, but there's just something about it. There's such a charm about it. You know, this is a grindhouse exploitation type film. The acting is so hammy and exaggerated and, you know, flamboyant, and I love how over the top the acting is in this movie. Every character is just giving it their all. You know, everything's, people are yelling and in their faces and all over the place, and everything an actor shouldn't do. They do in this movie. This is the kind of movie you watch and you show an aspiring actor and being like, don't do anything anybody in this movie does. Then we get to see Dwayne walking down the street. It's his first time out in the real world. He's got his brother in his basket, and there's this guy who comes to try to sell him drugs. He lists every type of drug there is, and women, and when he won't stop, Dwayne is showing zero interest in any of this shit. And he's like, what the fuck is wrong with you, man? It's like what, every single person in that area of town is there for drugs and women? I mean, it's possible. I mean, I get it. That's kind of going towards what they're trying to convey here in this movie, is he is in this shithole neighborhood. The only people that live there are drug addicts and prostitutes. And so when this guy looks at him, he's like, what the fuck are you doing here if it isn't for drugs or women? I love that guy. I love how fast he lists all these drugs and then just is so shocked by the fact this kid has no interest in any of it. Like, what are you doing down here, white boy? And the fact that he goes into this, you know, rent by the night, rent by the hour kind of establishment, and pulls out a wad of cash, 50s and 100s, in front of, you know, degenerates and delinquents, just shows how naive this kid is, that he has no idea. And he didn't really have to in a lot of ways, because he's had this protector that's willing to kill anyone who fucks with him, you know, or his family at all. So he's naive, but he's also almost fearless because he's got this bodyguard. And the relationship that he has with the girl in this movie, when we first introduced her as, you know, she's this receptionist, at the doctor's office, and she's so pushy about what he's up to and what he's going to be doing in the city. And then like, their romance in this movie is so forced. There is no thought put into it, and it's so illogical in so many places. And we're supposed to believe that they're like starstruck lovers, and she's so into him, and he wants to be with her, but Belial's coming in between them, and it's like, no, there isn't. Like, she pushes him into a date. They go out on a date. They're acting like they're in love, like instantly. They like kiss, and they're looking into each other's eyes and all this, like second they get to each other. And you're like, really? Okay, I guess. Oh, it's so fucking forced. I love it. And, you know, he has to be really secretive about the dating because Belial can't know about it. He gets jealous. He's going to kill her. He tries, you know, he ends up killing her at the end, obviously, because he sees them kissing and together. And so he was right on this. But I like how he's like having to whisper, and she's like, why are we whispering? He's like, well, you just got to keep this low. And she's like, from the doctor? She like screams it out. She's just so offended. Like, man, everybody's just so dramatic in this film. And Belial it reminds me of Toombs from the X-Files, where he's able to morph his body and fit into anything he wants if necessary. Like, for one, Belial, the way they show him, would not fit in that basket. He's too big for that basket. But he also hides in the toilet in this movie. The basket is questionable on whether or not he could fit in it. But all we see is his hand come out of the toilet. And there's no other room. Like, we see the hand come up. It's absurd. But hilarious, and it fits the film. I mean, the film's ridiculous anyways, but I just love how Belial's size seems to change, as well as does his eyes in this movie. He has blue eyes when he's a kid, when he's a little bit thing, and then later in the movie his eyes are dark, and then even later into the movie his eyes start glowing, as if when earlier in the movie the chick says, I don't even know if he's human, this almost supports that fact. Like, why is his eyes glowing? But he's a monster. And, you know, this story's pretty sad, I have to say. I mean, the fact that his mother dies giving birth to him. His father wants nothing to do with him. Thinks he's a fucking freak. The doctors cut him off and throw him in the garbage. Like, they just wrap him up in a garbage bag and throw him outside. Like, they don't dispose of him, like, go and give him a burial, nothing. They just throw him away like trash. They call him a freak. They call him... And so they go downstairs and they build this contraption, and this contraption comes down and fucking halves the dad. It's great. And I like when him and that girl kiss, she's like, I know a lot of guys, Dwayne, but you're different. It's literally the first conversation they ever have, and like 3 seconds in. Like, how the only interaction they had before this conversation where she says, I can tell you're different, you're different, is her being super pushy for him to go on a date with her. You're like, really? I love the stop motion animation in this, kind of like Ray Harryhausen almost. It's good. It's really the only way they could afford to do it, but I really like it. A character I really like in this movie is the landlord. As ridiculous as he can be in this film, because like, he hears screaming, because Belial scream in this movie. That first one where he comes out and it attracts all the neighbors that are in the adjoining rooms within that, whatever the hell you want to call that place. I don't, not really an apartment, but, you know, rent by the hour room. He's sitting, like, before he even reacts, it takes him like fucking 2-3 straight minutes to react. Finally, when someone comes down, he's like, that guy upstairs, and he's like, I know, what is that? Like, it's not like he's put out and he's like, I know, all right, I'll go check it out. No, he's like, yeah, you're right, what is it? And he comes out of there like, you know, freaking out of a cannon. He's so upset. And it's like, where the fuck have you been for the last couple minutes? And he's kind of like that throughout the movie. But I don't know. There's something about him. I think he's the best actor in the movie. He gives the most genuine performance. I know that sounds insane in this movie, and that's low balling it. Like that's a low bar to set, but I don't know. There's something about him. I like him. He's just like he's got a sleazy apartment manager feel to him, but he also is there to like, corral everyone and make sure they go back to the rooms, and he's also there to protect the ladies, and I don't know. I liked him throughout the movie. And I like how when they find the dead body and Dwayne comes back, the girl comes to pursue him and he pushes her away and he's like, I don't want him to hurt you too. I don't want him to kill you. And like pushes and shoves her and throws her outside and whatever. And then later in the movie, the doctor, which she works for, dies mysteriously, like murdered. And her first instinct is to run to the guy who was just telling her yesterday or so that he doesn't want her to die too or get hurt too, and is freaking out. And she runs to him. Like, come on. That's what but this fun, it's still fun. And the whole, like, he can hear Belial thing, I don't know if he actually can or if he just thinks he can, but if he can, then they have a telepathic relationship. I'm sure that's explored in the future 2 and 3. I haven't seen them in a long time. I remember them being very ridiculous as far as like they go way over the top, which is fine by me. I know there's all these different creatures, but I look forward to going back and rewatching that one. But I was kind of watching this like, can he hear him? Or is he just think he can hear him and gives him his own dialogue, what he wants to hear from him? Or thinks he's going to be hearing from him. And what's in the box? What's in the box? This is a what's in the basket. Jesus Christ. I mean, I don't blame anyone. Like, this guy's carrying around a basket, goes to the bar with this basket. Everyone's going to be asking what the hell's in it. Also, like, yeah, the social service worker that comes to the house to see if he can go and get out of school and do homeschooling or whatever. I mean, she rejects him. She screams at the sight of him. And we get to see him, like, actually attached to the kid, which I thought was cool. And we get to see the surgery where they take him off. That's pretty gruesome as well. I like how in that surgery, they only seem to sedate Belial, but completely keep Dwayne alive as they're cutting him off of him. I don't know why I was just sitting there like, really? Like, wow. And they do this surgery in their dining room. Yeah, I'm sure that's good. But there's really a sweet thing about, how the aunt is very accepting of both of them. And she, like, is reading him a bedtime story and gives him hugs and is truly loving and accepting to Belial. Which, I don't know, it was just kind of sweet. He's the only person outside of his brother and then he dies, and that's when they have to go out on their own into the world. And they're not protected by their loving aunt anymore. So, as I said, it's a pretty sad story, as silly as it is. Belial, he's also, we don't see a penis on him or anything, but he has some kind of sexual desires because he goes and he feels up the prostitute. Then he goes and he's feeling up Dwayne's girlfriend in her room before he kills her. So he definitely has some sexual desires. I like how the doctor who cuts him up and slices him on the side is Dr. Cutter. Another straight on the nose kind of thing going on there. And yeah, I think that's about it. I mean, we get to see that they die at the end of this. I mean, there's 2 sequels with both of them in it, so they don't die. I'm just really curious on seeing how they actually address that in the next movie. I'm sure they I think they do. I think it like opens with that scene. I can't remember, but I'm looking forward to looking forward to watching it again. Anyway, you guys like this one? Is this a movie that a lot of people have seen? I don't really hear basket case being talked about all that much, but it's a fun one. It's a good creature feature. And so is Brain Damaged. I love that movie. Frankenhooker's really fun. Don't remember 2 and 3 all that well, but I do remember enjoying them, especially part 3. All right, guys. Until then,